Well, he's not wrong about that. Those turnovers obviously costly. Those 19 of them leading to 31 points for this squad. That's gonna.
I still will say Detroit has something to do with those turnovers. But I get what he's saying.
Yeah.
I get what he's saying.
Yeah.
I hear what he's saying.
Still one of the best defensive teams in the NBA, certainly an intense one in the Pistons. Meanwhile, just going final a short time ago, Oklahoma City taking care of business. Winners of game number 1 against the Los Angeles Lakers. SGA, 18 points. So he doesn't hit that 20-point mark for him, but nonetheless, he still gets a win, and he's answering some questions right now at the podium.
Shai, you guys held them to 37 in the second half. What did you learn defensively over the course of the game?
Yeah, honestly, we were just like more ourselves in the second half. Took us a little bit to get into it tonight, to get back to what we were. Obviously, a little bit of a break, a little bit of rest is expected, but we eventually got to it and were able to do enough to win tonight.
Shai, Mark was just sitting here talking about the curveballs they threw. It's not like you haven't seen some of the coverages they were throwing at you, but it is the first time you've seen maybe something like that this postseason. What'd you make of your own processing throughout the game?
Yeah, I was like loose with the ball, had a lot of turnovers, but like I think that goes into just to like the rust of not playing for a little bit. They were obviously very aggressive, but I feel like for most of the night we got great looks. Sometimes it didn't go down, but we got great looks. It felt like we generated good offense for guys that can make plays, and just continuing that process because that's ultimately what's going to come down to, like just betting on us getting the best look for our team and living with the results. Like it's not always going to go our way, but we give ourselves the best chance if we do so.
It felt like some of the best looks were Chet at the end of a clock or just finishing plays. And I know since year 1 when he got here, you guys were calling him a lob threat, but it doesn't feel like you guys have really used him to that extent this much until this year. What's sort of going into that?
Yeah, I think like just as the time goes on, playing with somebody, understand their tendencies, you get better. Like for me personally, I've just become better as a playmaker, finding him in those spots. And then it's just like one of my coaches always said, like the tallest guy on the floor is always open. Like you can always throw it up in the air and he'll go get it. And I try to use that as much as I can.
You mentioned a few games ago that the worst version of Chet that we're going to see is today's version because he only gets better. Just when did you kind of realize once he walked in the doors that he had a different level of work ethic?
The first day, like when he walked in the doors, he just you could just tell like how much he cares about the game and his game. Like he really wants to maximize his potential, and that's all it comes down to, really and truly. Like a guy that wants to be the best version of himself gives himself the best chance to get there, and usually it works out for guys like that. He just wants it really badly.
Shai, we know as a team you all have one common goal, but I wanted to ask you about Jared McCain and his time that he's been here. What have you seen from him? It seems like he's really kind of stepped into and embraced his role.
Yeah, he's been great. When his number's called, he's been ready. It feels like every time, which is really hard to do. Coming to a new situation, having to move and all that stuff, all the outside distractions. But he's had 2 feet in the circle, we call it. But yeah, he's a great teammate. Obviously, a really good player, and he's out there for a reason. He helps us win, and he's helped us win multiple games and big-time games this season, and he did so again tonight.
Shai, as far as you being double-teamed most of the night and what have you, kind of like a shooter gets a rhythm, the more he sees shots go in, the more that you had a chance to kind of pass out of the double team. Did you get like a rhythm of kind of you knew where you wanted to go with the ball, or you could see more options as you went along with as much as they doubled?
Yeah, yeah, as the game goes on, like you understand more so like how they're rotating around it, and like what we like spacing we can have behind it to give ourselves the best opportunity to have an advantage. And like I said, it took us a little bit to get to like that type of stuff clicking tonight, but we eventually got there and we're pretty good in the second half. But yeah, those type of things, like ultimately it's the easiest form of basketball. Like I'd much rather do that than have to go one-on-one all night over somebody. Like my teammates on the back end playing 4-on-3 is it's what you play for. Every play starts for us to create an advantage, and just to be given an advantage, we'll play that as much as we can. I think we did a good job of attacking that confidently tonight.
Shai, how would you compare the version of Chet you have right now, especially on the offensive end, to at this time last year in the playoffs?
Yeah, completely different player. Last year he was coming off a big injury, obviously, so his legs weren't as underneath him. But yeah, he just like really used those experiences last postseason and this summer to really get better. And then he just looks like super fresh out there. Like everything looks strong. He's getting to his spots. He's rebounding. He's finishing plays, altering stuff at the rim. Like he's exactly who we need him to be and who we expect him to be, and he's been great so far this postseason.
And how would you grade your individual performance tonight?
It was okay. It wasn't my best, wasn't my worst. Somewhere in the middle.
With guys like Ajay and McCain, they've both been really confident, and Mark was talking about that's really important coming in their first playoffs. But he also mentioned that it's the environment they're in of having guys like you, where McCain and Ajay don't have to look behind their back to know that there's somebody behind them wondering whether they're taking some of these shots. You've talked about empowering your teammates. Is that something you sort of learned from your time with the Clippers and Chris Paul and guys like that, of sort of how to empower younger players?
I think like as I've gone through kind of being like the head of the snake of this team, you just like come to realize like no matter how good you think you are, like you're gonna need your teammates more than anything. And I remember being a young player, and it was just always easier knowing that I had guys behind me that believed in me. And that's what it's all about. Like when the best players believe in you, when people that have accomplished things believe in you, it's a little bit more of a confidence boost, and then it takes that stress away. So yeah, it's just like I try to reverse it. Like if I was in their shoes, what would I need from me? That's how I kind of think about it.
AJ's just in his second season. You made the postseason in your second season. Can you just speak to maybe the impressiveness for him to look so controlled and poised in these moments? He's obviously stepped into a handling role and just looks really good doing it.
Yeah, he's I always say this. He's as tough as they come. Like there's no shaking AJ. Like for him to be as like reliable as he is for our group, especially a group that just won, like it's very impressive. He's been like a bit of a surprise. Like obviously, like we saw last year, he was a good player, but like coming in and being this this confident and this skilled this early in his career, and for us as a group has just been big, especially with like Dub being hurt all year and him like being the secondary handler. It's been big for us, and it's honestly kept us afloat. And yeah, he's just a really good basketball player. But yeah, when you're as tough as he is, like you figure it out no matter the situation. And I'd bet on AJ figure it out 10 times out of 10.
Yeah, Shai, Marcus Smart been sort of missing in action for a couple of years. Seemed to landed on his feet with the Lakers. How big of a hassle was he to deal with tonight? Looks like you're going to be messing with him for the entire series.
Yeah, obviously a really great defender. It wasn't many times it was just me and him though. It was multiple bodies pretty much every play. But he is like a premier perimeter defender. Does a really good job of getting into the ball. Yeah, he is who everyone thinks he is, a really good defender.
Law, you have one?
Hey Shai, because we're in the playoffs, we're getting a lot more commentary, fans, media, et cetera, about the areas of the floor, threes, mid-range, et cetera. Like, why was it so important for you when you were building your game out to be proficient in that mid-range area?
It's the shot that the NBA is like lets people take. So like when I got to the NBA, it seemed like every defense was like give up the mid-range. So I figured it was the shot I would get the most, and I just wanted to be good at it and be able to attack those spots in the court and turn them into a weapon. and been able to do so.
Thank you, Shai.